Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Netossa. Let's continue to bolster the ranks of the Great Rebellion. Netossa was one of those figures in the vintage Princess of Power line who is a little harder to come by, so it's kind of cool getting to see an updated version of her so soon in the Classics line. Netossa comes in the same style blister card packaging seen on all of the Masters of the Universe Classics figures, complete with that Princess of Power logo sticker on the front of the blister. The back shows off a selection of other related figures in the Classics toy line, as well as gives us a brand new bio for Netossa. Alright, so let's take a look at this figure out of the packaging. I really love the face sculpt on this figure. Netossa is absolutely gorgeous. She's got a look that is more based on her Filmation cartoon appearance, with the light blue fin-like headdress instead of the full mask-like headdress seen on the vintage toy. Her hair is of a blue color that's highlighted by a lighter blue, which looks very nice. And if I might add, I sort of wish Frosta's hair was more this color. Even beyond the terrific sculpt of the face, I just really love the overall look of this character. The combination of blues, whites, and her dark skin tone just really goes so well together, especially with the small touches such as the blue eyeshadow and the metallic blue nail polish seen on her fingertips. The white used on her boots and bodice does seem to have that same grayish color we've seen on figures in the past, but it's highlighted by this pearlescent white, which looks really nice and shiny and makes that grayish color actually look fine. The decorative piece on the front of her bodice has a nice metallic blue paint job, but I do unfortunately have some paint bleeding onto the white areas. Alright, so let's take a closer look at Netossa. So first things first, let's go ahead and run down all of her articulation. Now, you will notice that her head is able to turn left and right. She's got that really long hair, and it is kind of thick, so it is going to kind of bump into her shoulders a little bit. But you can kind of roll it over a little bit if you need to. But you also have these little wingtips coming off of her bodice, so her hair is going to kind of bump into all that stuff. Luckily, that is a softer material, so it is flexible. Same as the little wingtips coming off her headdress there. They're also soft and flexible, but they are stuck to her head. They're like glued onto her hair, so they're not removable. Shoulders the same, ball-type joints, upwards, downwards, forwards, backwards. These little wingtips here are soft enough that you can still move the arms forward just fine. They don't get in the way. You got the swivels at the biceps, standard joint at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. You got the little swivel at her waist there. She does not have any slits in her skirt, but you do still get a good, nice, wide range of motion with her legs. You can still get her to sit on Swiftwind if you wanted to. It looks like you can still bend her legs forward enough that she'd be able to sit in the Wind Raider, but you can see that the skirt does hinder the movement just a bit. It is a softer skirt. It's flexible, especially the piece hanging down in the front there. She's got the standard knee joints. She's got the swivel and the legs kind of up at the hip area. It's actually the same kind of articulation we've seen with She-Ra and some of the other figures like Frosta, some of the other figures since then. And then the ankle joints, unfortunately on mine, Netossa's got really weak ankles. You can see how loose they are, how easy it is to flip those around, and I have already had lots of balancing problems with her. So it's been a while since I've had a figure with loose ankles like that, but she definitely does suffer from the loose ankles, unfortunately. Now the big thing, main important thing to talk about here is her signature piece, which is her netted cape. Now this is made of a very soft and flexible material. It's very similar to Leech's net that we got with the Leech figure. Now, one of the problems, of course, with Leech's net is that the material was so thin that a lot of people have already had problems with it ripping or just kind of falling apart on its own. I am happy to report that the net cape that Netossa's wearing is a much thicker version of that. I mean, feeling them next to each other, you can really feel how much thicker this cape is. So hopefully we won't have any problems with it tearing or falling apart over time. It is nice and soft, so you can see it does kind of fold around her and everything if you want to, but when she's standing still, it does just kind of sit straight out like that. So it's got a real kind of stiff, rigid look when she's just standing on the shelf. It doesn't really lay like a cape or a net probably should, but I do like the soft, rubbery material. It does still works nice, and one of the things about her is that she's supposed to be able to use her cape as an actual net weapon. So you can pop her head off there. Got that standard little peg that we've seen a lot of the female figures have, and it just pulls right off over the neck. It just hooks over the neck like that. Get her head back on there. These female heads are always harder to put back on. All right. One of the things I wanted to point out on this is mine's got this really weird like dent on the back that's discolored. It's kind of black. Now this is where her hair is sitting up against it, so I don't know if while she was in the package her hair's pressing up against it and that's what caused that. It'll be interesting to see if that's how everybody's cape looks. It's not that big of a deal. It's hidden by her hair when she's wearing it, but it is noticeable when you take it off. But there you can see, it's nice and soft, it's flexible, you can kind of get her to hold on to it if you want to, and that way she can throw her knitted cape at her foes. Netossa's cape is supposed to double as her weapon. Since it's made of that softer, rubbery-like material, you can pose it in her hands as if she's ready to attack and trap. However, it is a little too small to effectively trap a villain. The vintage toy had a much larger netted cape. Aside from her cape, she also includes the standard Princess of Power shield, done in the same white and pearlized white as seen on her outfit. In the center sits a dark blue gem. The shield is fitted to clip right onto her left arm, just like we've seen with all of the previous shields. Alright guys, it's comparison time! Here's Netossa standing alongside her vintage counterpart from the Princess of Power toy line. Here you can see the difference between both her headdress design and also the style of that netted cape. Overall, I'm very happy with Netossa. My only real gripe is that I wish her netted cape was a little bigger than it is. Part of me also kind of wishes it was made of the same net material as the vintage figure, because then it would not only be able to function more as an actual net, but it would also sit on her more like a cape rather than looking rigid and stiff. But otherwise, I find Netossa incredibly beautiful. I love her sculpt, and really dig the color scheme used. I'm also happy to see the numbers of the Great Rebellion rising. I know it seems a little strange to see a more obscure character like Netossa coming before someone like Glimmer, who I feel is long overdue, but nonetheless, I'm still very happy to add her to my collection. Netossa will be available on MattyCollector.com on January 15th, 2013, and is part of the Eternian Collectors Club subscription. Until next time,